This is the OMFL.
You can't touch this.
And you're in the mix with Kinda Real Name. Here's another OMFL production.
When I hit you up, I'm talking about banging something. Chill off in your crib and half a thing, probably make this thing or something. Girl, you like my bottom, bitch. Post my bill, pay for my lawyer. Play your position when the mother hoes get out of order. When you wanna give me that, you purchase a plane ticket. Run around town when I put.
Alright, what's up, guys? Time for a little Saints and Sinners podcast. Talk about our Week 6 game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Didn't go so hot. Now, we have been in a real up and down season all year, trying to get this thing figured out. And we actually started out red hot against the Jacksonville Jaguars, jumping out to a 14-0 lead in the first quarter, taking a 21-10 lead in the halftime, just to watch the Jaguars score 21 unanswered points before I could put up a field goal just to tighten it up super late. But the game was already out of hand. Really let things get away from us, and we let one slip through our fingers. It was on Press Pass Live this past week about which of these 5-0 teams would fall last, and D. Wayne thought that the Jaguars could fall to me, and starting early I thought I had an opportunity as well. And in the second half, I just could not put any offense together and couldn't seem to stop his long drives. My flow stopped, no running game all day, and you don't get any running game, then you're not going to be able to control the clock, not going to be able to get into any kind of flow, and that's exactly what happened. 365 yards to 241. He just had the ball all day, it seemed. Easy for me to say. 14 first downs to 12 first downs. 135 rushing yards to only 50. We really felt the loss of Kamara, as we have in the weeks past, today. It just couldn't get anything going. We couldn't seem to find our flow, and no running back that touched the ball seemed to be able to find any holes. 230-yard passings to 191 for Drew Brees, 469 total to 412. 2 turnovers each. 5 third down conversions for him, though. He was able to keep those drives going. Only 2 for me. And then offensive red zone touchdowns. I can't talk tonight. He had 4 offensive red zone touchdowns, 1 field goal. I had 0 with 1 field goal, but I also missed 2 or 3 other field goals. And then he possessed the ball 22 minutes to 17, almost 18 minutes. Watson, you see, just started off really tough. He threw 2 picks to Lattimore, which actually were 2 pick sixes. But he stayed steady, and he kept drilling at it, and he kept finding open guys. He finished the game 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 83.7 average or rating, which isn't too bad, 60% completion percentage, and 9.2 yards per attempt. Drew Brees only 7.6. He did average 65%, but he was sacked 4 times as Watson never touched the ground. He threw 1 touchdown to 2 interceptions and 221 yards. Rushing is where you really see the big gap. 17 attempts for West for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. He did have a long, let's see if it shows a long of 24 here. Scott had 2 for 29. 22 of them came on 1 play, and they just couldn't give him the ball more carries. Only 7 carries for Murray. Blue had 6 for 23. So even the Jaguars' backup running back had more carry, or 1 less carry than my starter. Precise 1 for 10. Receiving, Traquan Smith 4 for 84. Marquez Lee 4 for 83. Westbrook 5 for 65. Cook 5 for 65. You're going to see Mike Thomas here only 3 for 17. He was unable to get away from their number 1 cornerback Ramsey, who just did a great job all day. 11 tackles for Payne, 2 for assists, 9 solo. You see Payne also had 2 tackles for loss. Dominic Davis 1. A bunch of guys had 1. But here in the sacks, you can see this is where we really struggled. Yannick Noki, probably saying that wrong, had 2. He was a monster coming off the edge. Just couldn't seem to contain him on big downs. Jacobs had 1, and then Campbell had 1. Oh yeah, interceptions. We'll get to that real quick. 2 from Marshawn Lattimore, who was just playing shutdown football in the first half, and then it just got away from him, and he was letting guys get open in the second half. Ramsey just completely shut down his side of the ball. He also had a pick late in this game, and then Marquez Gilchrist also had an interception. It was about the end of those stats. The Jaguars make a massive comeback in the second half, and the Saints fall to 1-5 in what has been a super frustrating season. Without Kamara, Drew Brees hasn't played his best. We just haven't found a good flow on offense, which is supposed to be the strength of our team. And on defense, we've played better, and we've done a decent job. But this week, we gave up way too many rushing yards, as we did last week against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If you give up that many rushing yards, you're just not going to be able to control the clock. You're not going to be able to control exactly what you want to do. I'm going to look at a couple of re-signs because we were able to re-sign a few guys this week. We'll talk about our matchup against the Bears. Oh yeah, it's not going to show. Let's see. We got to go over. Got to go to transactions. What words are a struggle for me tonight? Let's go to the Saints. Look at re-signs here. See if it shows re-signs. Here we go. David Onyemata last week, I should say, took a 4-year, $24.6 million contract to re-sign. He really is one of those base, young defensive linemen that we feel like we can build around in this 3-4 because that feels like the way that we want to go with this team. It's kind of set up to run that way, and we don't have those really great athletic pass rushers to not run a 3-4. And we don't have great coverage linebackers to run a 4-3. Eli Apple is also another guy that we just felt for the money was going to be a good contract. 4 years, $22 million. If he was in the open market, he'd at least get that. He's young enough. He's got enough athletic ability. You might as well bring him back and keep him as that number 2 guy. And then Von Bell, a guy that's been a stud and a playmaker for us. He's sharing time at strong safety. He's kind of playing a couple different positions there. But again, 4 years, $14.6 million. You got to sign that guy. In the open market, he's going to get way more than that. He could be trade bait, but I really think he'll just be that young piece that we can have as a backup the rest of this Madden. And then finally, just this week, Zach Lyon took a 4-year, $7.8 million contract. I don't think that Zach will see this contract all the way through. I think we will draft a fullback that we can build, somebody that's got a little bit more athletic ability, but for right now, Zach can fill in that gap. He can catch the ball. He can block. He just doesn't have a ton of speed. Overall, he can fill those gaps. We're in week number 7. We just advanced a couple of minutes ago. Nothing really has changed. You'll see here as we look at the injury report, Kamara is still nursing a broken toe. Got 2 more weeks before we'll get him back. And, man, we have missed him. Just trying to get in the flow. And this is the time, if we're going to make a run, it starts this week. Because if you lose one more, it's it. You're going to have to run the table, which is going to be nearly impossible. But we're going to give it a good college try. This is going to search for opponent. I thought it was going to let us look at some. We'll back out of this and see if we can't get to some stats that we can look at real quick before we put a bow in the show. Pretty short little Saints and Sinners this week. We just have one game to cover. But we do appreciate you guys checking us out and being patient as Nate screwed up and hit the button quicker than he should have. I think that a lot of the problems that has faced my team has just been getting into a play calling groove. We just have not been able to find a good mixture. Dallas was the game that we felt like we had the best mixture. We won, is our only win of the year. And that's when we had a lot of rushing attack. And that rushing attack opened up the passing attack with Drew Brees. We just don't have that right now. We're unable to find a good rushing attack that fits our team. And because of that, Drew Brees is having to force a lot of plays. And if you force plays in this league, it's going to come back to burn you. It's going to hurt you before it's over. Let's look at the schedule. Team schedule. Let's see if it'll go down to the Bears. Nope, that's not what we want. Alright, so that's not going to work. We'll just look at some Bears stats before we get out of here. You see the Bears are winning their division right now at 3-2. The Packers, though, have made a great comeback to get it 3-3 and just one game behind 110 points far for the Tampa Bay. It's not the Tampa Bay, the Chicago Bears, and only 73 that they've allowed. They have a great defense. They get after the quarterback. They're able to shut down your run, and that's been our problem this entire season. We've yet to find a nice flow in our offensive play calling because we're allowing too much pressure for Drew Brees and not able to find that running game. Look at some stats for the Bears before we get out of here. We'll cover some stats for the Saints after that. Michael Trubisky, who I'm not sure if he's even starting anymore. I know there's been some quarterback controversy, to say the least, for Chicago, but he's 66 for 110, 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions for 1,087 yards, and he's sacked only 8 times, which is pretty good. Cohen, he's got 59 rushes for 250 yards. Davis right behind him, 47 for 200. Both of those guys are averaging over 4 yards a carry. It's surprising to me how David Montgomery hasn't gotten more carries, because this is a guy that is a playmaker, and only 12 carries for 16 yards. It looks like maybe they're not giving him enough opportunities to make plays for this team. Their leading receiver is Allen Robinson, the second, 23 receptions, 431 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 18.7 average is pretty good. And then their burner, Taylor Gabriel, 15 receptions, 244 yards. No touchdowns on the season, but he is averaging 48.8 yards per game. And then they have a really great tight end, Trey Burton, who actually was a tight end for us in Madden 18. 12 receptions for 185 yards, 1 touchdown. So not a lot of passing touchdowns. You're going to find it surprising here. It's really their second tight end, Adam Shalen, who has got a lot of touchdowns for them. So evidently they're going 2 tight end sets in the red zone, and they're able to make plays. He's got 5 receptions for 41 yards and 8.2 average, but 2 touchdowns on the year already. Let's look at the blocking. Usually we don't. Well, let's take a look. The only guy that's given up a sack, and this is pretty good, Charles Leno, Charles Leno Jr. His left tackle has given up 3 sacks in 5 games, and that's it. No one else has given up a sack. That's a really good offensive line. That's a guy who's probably getting the ball out quick. He's slide protecting. He's keeping a man in. He's doing whatever it takes to protect his quarterback, and that usually leads to winning football. Mack, of course, is his absolute stud. He's got 33 tackles on the year, 6 tackles for loss, 13 sacks. Smith right behind him with 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack, but 33 tackles, 2 interceptions. Trevathan, 32 tackles, 3 for a loss, 2 interceptions. And all of these linebackers are speedy playmakers. Even his import, Noel, here, he's only got 17 tackles on the season, but 4 of them for loss, 4 sacks. These guys can get after the quarterback. They can get there very quickly, and they can make really great plays on this defensive side of the ball. Interceptions, Smith has 2, Trevathan's got 2, Makamura's got 2, Fuller's got 2, Jackson and Clinton Dix each have 1. So again, a lot of guys getting after the quarterback, getting the quarterback to force the ball out and able to make plays. Let's look at my Saints before we get out of here. It has been a struggle, and the struggle has not lightened up all year, and every time we think we have some things figured out, it kind of goes downhill. Drew Brees, 111 for 163, a 68% average, 8 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 1,451 yards. Not terrible numbers, but nothing sexy, nothing to get too excited about. Kamara, who's been out for the last 5 weeks, is still our second leading rusher. 33 for 129, still a 3.9 average. Murray's got 50 for 177, a 3.5 average. We're probably going to get Scott more carries. I worry about the fumble issue because he is a second-year player. He tends to get hit very hard and fumble the ball, and against the Bears defense, you can't be giving up a ton of fumbles. But he's got 22 for 128 and a touchdown, so he's made big plays, 5.8 average for us. And then even the guy that we just picked up to help us out, 5 carries, 40 yards, 8.0 average, and 1 touchdown in Procise, which reminds me, we have a bid out for a practice squad player for the Ravens that we're going to have to look at and see what they decided about. We may have a new running back to bring on to the team. Thomas has got 28 receptions for 350 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ginn 24 for 319, 2 touchdowns. Cook 19 for 265. You can see all three of those guys are pretty close in receptions. The guy who's really turned it on the last couple of weeks has been Traquan Smith. He runs great routes. He holds on to the ball. 11 for 227, 2 touchdowns. He comes out and plays the outside receiver in 3 and 4 receiver sets because Thomas moves on to the inside, and he plays really well. And then a guy that I think will continue to get more playing time here is Marquez Valdez-Scantling. 5 receptions, 105 yards, and a touchdown. Again, we gave up our first-round pick for him, but it really wasn't for this year. It was so that our receiving core would be kind of set for the entire rest of this Madden. Blocking, you're going to see, has been a struggle. Armstead 2, McCoy 2, Dircher 3, Pete 5, Ramczyk 5. That's a lot of sacks there. It's 10, 13, 15, 16, 17 sacks between all of my starters in 6 games, and that's just not going to cut it. And some may be Drew holding on to the ball a little bit too long, but it's also they're just not winning these one-on-one battles, and our offensive line should be winning those one-on-one battles more often. Here's our defensive leaders. Anzalone, 43 tackles, 24 assists, 19 solo, 5 for a loss, and 1 sack. He's not able to make a lot of those turnovers, which we expect to come from him before it's over. The guy who's been a real great addition to our team has been our free agent pickup, Donald Payne. He's had 38 tackles, 14 assists, 6 for a loss, 1 sack. He has been making plays. He's been in the position for other plays, and I expect him to continue to play better. The rookie Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, 29 tackles, 19 assists, 1 tackle for loss, 1 interception. You look at the sack leaders on this team. It's going to be Jordan, 6. He started out red hot, but he's cooled off. I don't think he's even gotten pressure the last 2 weeks. Anyamata's a little hot and cold. Again, he's a guy that we gave a big contract to in hopes that he would be a young key piece for this defensive line. And then Rankin, he's got 3 as well. Interception leaders are going to be Marshawn Lattimore, but they both came in our last game against the Jaguars. I really expect this portion of the team to turn around. In all honesty, the struggle has been with the second cornerback. We haven't been able to find a guy that can step in and be that guy. We're going to try some new things this week and see if we've got some answers for the Bears, especially against a team that struggles throwing the ball. This should be the week that we can get this side of the ball on track and be able to make some plays. So that's where we stand here in week 7 as we get ready for our game against the Chicago Bears. We're going to find out about our practice squad claim that we've put in. Hopefully we've got that guy because I think that he could add a young key piece to this team. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Peace.